Hey guys, welcome to my channel. In this video, we are going to do the analysis of a fine chemicals company which is mainly into shelf life solutions, which is Camlin Fine Sciences. Before we begin, if you're new to the channel, please do subscribe and you can join our Telegram channel as well. Let's get started. So Camlin Fine Sciences is a specialty chemicals company which makes fine specialty chemicals and its blends, and their specialty chemicals are used in industries like animal nutrition, flavors and fragrances, pharmaceuticals, agrochemicals, petrochemicals, dyes and pigments, biodiesel and several other industries. So this is one of the leading company in the shelf life solutions. What are shelf life solutions? The chemicals or the fine chemicals which are used as food additives to increase the shelf life of various food products are called shelf life solutions. So this company has a long history. As you know, all of us are familiar with the name or the brand Camlin, which we use in stationery also. So that is also a part of this group. So this is a 90-year-old company or the group which was started in 1931, and they have manufacturing operations in various countries. So it's not just they are manufacturing in India, but they are manufacturing across the globe in countries like Mexico, Brazil, Europe and China also. They serve more than 1000 plus customers and they have presence in more than 80 countries. They have 2 research and development centers in India as well as 5 application labs wherein they are testing the process of manufacturing as well as the products which they manufacture, whether they are up to the mark in terms of quality and their performance. Now let's talk about the management of the company. Mr. Ashish Dandekar is the chairman and managing director of this company. He was earlier the managing director and recently he has taken over as the chairman. His age is 52 years. He is a BA in economics and management studies from US. He has more than 30 years experience in the pharma and chemical sector. He has worked across different segments of businesses like business planning, information systems, R&D. He has managed almost every part of the business as a managing director. And he holds about just above 11% of the stake in the company. The recently joined managing director of the company is Mr. Nirmal Momaya. He's age 54 and he's a BCom graduate with a chartered accountant's degree. He has more than 25 years of experience in the field of finance and he has worked as a consultant to various industries like the food and beverages industry, quick service restaurants industries, the pharmaceutical and chemical industries, and he also has started a company called Pagoda Advisors Private Limited. Now let's talk about the journey of this company. They started in 1931 as a ink powder and tablet manufacturing company, and in 1947 they diversified into the stationery business. In 1984 they further diversified into the chemicals business and they set up their first plant in India to manufacture antioxidants. Whenever food gets spoiled, in technical terms we call it as if the food gets oxidized. So antioxidants prevent oxidization or spoilage of food. So in 1984, their fine chemicals division, which is the Camlin Fine Sciences and Pharma division, was born. So this was added like firstly like just a business segment. In 2006, they demerged this fine chemicals business from their parent company, and Camlin Fine Sciences Limited was formed as a separate company. In 2007, then they listed this company on BSE, and in 2011 they listed it on NSE, and they also acquired a unit of Italy in the year 2011. In 2014, they started their operations in Brazil, and 2016 they incorporated a company in US which was called CFS North America LLC. And they also acquired 65% stake in 2016 in a company in Mexico. So you can see that this company or this group has been growing organically as well as inorganically, acquiring or partnering with different companies across the globe in the form of joint ventures. In 2017, they acquired 51% stake in a Chinese company for their aroma segment, and thereafter they became the third largest producer in the world for a fine chemical called vanillin. In 2018, they entered into the animal nutrition business with a joint venture of a company based in Singapore. And in 2020, they further expanded their Indian operations by a greenfield expansion in Gujarat, Dahej, in their diphenol facility. Now let's talk about their business verticals. So there are 4 different segments in which their business can be divided. The first thing is the shelf life solutions, aroma ingredients, performance chemicals and health and wellness. So shelf life solutions cater to industries like pet food, animal nutrition, aquaculture, etc. Aroma ingredients cater to industries like food and beverages, pharma, incense sticks, FMCG, etc. The performance chemicals caters to almost all the other industries like petrochemicals, agrochemicals, polymer and several other industries. And the health and wellness is specifically towards the food and beverages for human and animal health. Now let's talk about these different segments in detail. The shelf life solutions as we have discussed, are solutions or fine chemicals or additives added to food to extend the shelf life of the food. Now, why is the requirement of such kind of solutions is increasing these days is because of COVID. There are supply disruptions across the globe, and the food has to be preserved for a larger period of time. So that is why this is increased, and due to urbanization and lot of other changes around us, people are preferring more and more preserved food and not the natural food. We are consuming lot of stuff like biscuits, breads, and other stuff like Western countries. So that increases the demand for shelf life solutions. So antioxidants and their blends are the major products in the shelf life solutions, and these solutions are for human nutrition, animal food, aquaculture, and biofuels. In these divisions, their main products are TBHQ, which is used in noodles, pastas, and other products, BHA, which are used in animal fats. So in this division, there are two brands which they are mainly selling under, which is Extendra and Nashore. Nashore brand is for naturally extracted shelf life solutions which do not involve artificial chemicals. So apart from just increasing the shelf life, they are also manufacturing additives which increase the nutritional value of foods, which are coming under nutritional additives. Now coming to the aromatic solutions, under this segment, they manufacture chemicals which bring aroma or fragrance to various products. So when we talk about aroma, you will clearly understand that this can be used in industries like food and beverages, FMCG, where we are using our soaps, shampoos, and various fairness products in our daily life. So all these kinds of products have that requirement of aromatic solutions. So in the food additive segment, aromatic solutions itself is almost 25% of the market size. And aromatic solutions, there are two ways in which they can be made. One is naturally using the natural extract from different plants, and also artificially prepared through synthetic procedures. In aromatic solutions, their main product is vanillin, out for which they are the third largest producers in the world. And vanillin also is prepared naturally or artificially, but the artificial one is more popular as it is can be easily made and it is more cheaper. So methyl vanillin is sold as under their brand name called Vaness, and ethyl vanillin is sold under their brand called Evanil. So these are the brands in which they sell their vanillin. And vanillin is used in chocolates, ice creams, personal care products, and several cosmetic products. Under this aromatic solutions, the order book is growing very strong, and they are selling across the globe with customers in Europe, Brazil, US, and various Middle East countries. Now coming to the performance chemicals, when we talk about performance chemicals, these are fine chemicals which enhance the efficiency and productivity of the processes and other ingredients in the various industries. So these chemicals are used in industries like pharma, petrochemicals, agrochemicals, dyes. Almost you can say in every industry these chemicals are used. So the market size of this business segment is huge. This company focuses on performance chemicals which are related to diphenols, and their products like CME, PDMB, TBC, MEHQ are their main focus areas. They are quite vertically integrated for this segment, which gives them cost advantage and advantage in terms of their efficiencies. And these chemicals also they are supplying across the globe to countries like US, Middle East, Asia, and Far Eastern countries also. Recently, in their Gujarat plant, which is at Dahej, they have doubled their diphenols capacity. So by this, you can understand the demand for their performance chemicals with this company's manufacturing is pretty decent. As you know, they recently started the segment called health and wellness. As you know, people are becoming more and more health conscious day by day. So they feel that the scope in this segment is going to improve going further. So just in 2019, this segment was started, and in this segment they offer nutraceutical products which are naturally extracted from different plants. They have tie-ups with different farmers to supply them fresh raw materials, and obviously the health and wellness category caters to industries like animal health, human health, dietary food, and various nutraceuticals. They recently acquired a company to grow this segment, which is Algar R Nutrafarms. Now let's see the revenue breakup of the different segments of this company. About 25% of the revenue comes from shelf life solutions, about 16% from aromatic solutions. Performance chemicals constitute about 29%, and the blends of different chemicals about 28%. So you can see that almost all the divisions have been performing well, except the health and wellness segment, which is recently started and which will grow in terms of the segmental revenue soon. If you see the revenue by geography, India constitutes the majority of their sales, and Mexican and European markets also bring a large chunk of sales to this company. Now let's talk about the competitive strengths of this company. As you know, it has a long legacy, so their brand value is an advantage, and their leadership and experience in this segment also gives them an advantage. They have manufacturing facilities across the globe and not just in India. They have a diversified customer base which is into different industries. So even if some industries do not perform well, still they can maintain their financial numbers. They are among the top three manufacturers of vanillin. The company is also focused on vertical integration, which gives them a lot of cost efficiencies and operational efficiencies. They are continuously diversifying their products by their own research, as well as they are acquiring different companies across the globe to expand their product base and enter into new segments like nutraceuticals. It's a R&D focused company, and they are also increasing their capacities of production within India as well as outside India, and they also have certain patents, like they have patent in manufacturing a chemical called BHA. Now, what could be the growth prospects of this company going further? As you know, the specialty chemicals industry is in a boom phase. We are getting a lot of advantage in terms of the Make in India movement as well as the China Plus One strategy. The company is growing inorganically by several joint ventures and acquisitions. Recently, they have expanded their capacity of production by 10,000 metric tons per annum in a greenfield expansion in their Gujarat plant. Yeah, they are also expanding their ethyl vanillin plant in Gujarat by 6,000 metric tons per annum capacity. This will further bring down their operating costs. They have started a new division which is health and wellness. They are making huge investments in integration as well as diversification of their business. They recently got an investment from a company called Infinity Holdings of 170 crores, which they will use in the growth of the company. As and when the awareness of people increases for better food and fresher foods, the demand for this products of this company is going to grow well. Urbanization and several other trends will lead to increase in the demand of the products of this company, and people are willing to pay extra for better and more natural and fresh food products. Now, who are the competitors of this company? Companies like Fine Organics, Clean Science and Technologies. A lot of listed and unlisted companies are their competitors. A few of them we have listed here: Kemin Foods Technologies, DSM, Prasant Solutions, Aromaco, Oriental Aromatics. So these are different companies which are competing against Camlin Fine Sciences. So on a global level, there would be several competitors of this company. What could be the different risks which this company might face? Forex risk, as it's a global venture, and the pressure of inflation, which increases the cost of raw materials and reduces their margins. Due to COVID, there is uncertainty across the globe. Since this company has presence in various countries, there could be disruptions in production in different countries if the COVID cases rise in those countries. As and when the industry dynamics change, the companies have to mold themselves accordingly, or else their operations would be affected. They have to plan their capacities accordingly, increase or decrease their production as per the demand. Depending on the government policies of different countries, they have to comply with all regulations. And as of now, the interest costs are low. As and when the interest costs increase, that could affect the margins of this company, the bottom line, as this company has debt. One thing is that the promoter holding of this company is a little on the lower side. We will see in the shareholding pattern. As it's a global company, it has to face competition risk from various companies across the globe. Now we'll see the broad trends in the industry in which this company operates. The specialty chemical industry, if you see, is expected to grow at a CAGR of about 12 to 13% over the next 5 years. So if the industry itself is expected to grow in double digits, then it would be a wise decision being invested in the companies which are in this industry. As per the union budget, which is of 21-22, the government allocated 233 crores of rupees to the Department of Chemicals and Petrochemicals. So the government itself is supporting this particular industry, and the global chemicals market is expected to become a size of about $301 billion by 2026, so which requires a CAGR growth of about 4.8 or 5%. So globally, the industry is growing at about 5%, and within India in double digits. And India is the world's sixth largest producer of chemicals, and specialty chemicals division constitute about 22% of the entire chemicals industry size in India. Broad trends like globalization, the COVID disruptions, and more startups which are coming in the food industry will increase the demand for such chemicals for this company as well as others in the industry. Now let's come to the financial analysis part. We'll do the year-on-year analysis for the last 5 years. If you see the revenue, it has been growing at a CAGR of about 22%, which is a very good growth. And if you see EBITDA, it is growing at about 59%, because the base numbers were low. The growth rate appears to be high. So the EBITDA for FY21, which is about 181 crores. The EBITDA margins have started getting better. Earlier, the company had pressure on their margins, and they clocked a margin of about 15.33% in FY21. The company reported losses in financial years 17, 18 and 19, and in FY21 it reported a profit of about 51 crores. The profit margins have started rising. The net profit margin, which is about 4.3% in FY21. So we should be giving a little more time to the company to see at what levels the margins stabilize and whether the company is able to continue to make consistent profits at those stabilized margins. Because of the profits, the EPS was also negative in the initial years, and for FY21 it is around 4 rupees. Now coming to the balance sheet items, if you see, the share capital has been fairly constant other than the ESOPs issued by the company, so it's about 13 crores in FY21. The reserves are constantly rising as the profitability is improving. One thing you have to note, that the borrowings of this company or the debt is also increasing. Although it is below 1, the debt equity ratio, it's about 0.92. But if this trend continues, then it could be a red flag for this company. On the other hand, we should expect this debt to go down as the profitability is increasing, and the company should fund whatever expansion they are doing through their internal accruals growing further. The fixed assets were fairly at the same level up to FY20, but they are started increasing in FY21. So this shows that the company is investing into capex. The inventory is constantly on a rise, so this is okay as of now as the revenue of the company is increasing. But if this trend continues and if there is any abnormal increase in the inventory, that could be alarming. Trade receivables are increasing, that they are increasing at a slower pace as of now, and along with the industry you have to keep a watch on the trade receivables also as the company grows more. The cash position, if you see, is about 138 crores in FY21 balance sheet, which is fairly good. And the free cash flow up to FY20 has been negative, and just in FY21 the free cash flow has turned positive to 33 crores. So this also has to be keenly watched in the years coming by FY22 and 23. This has to remain positive, or at least the operation cash flows have to be in line with the net profit which the company is generating, and there should not be a pressure on the balance sheet in the form of inventory and trade receivables. That has to be closely watched for this company. ROC slightly improved in FY21 to 14%, which is as of now not that impressive. Debtor days are coming down, that means the company is recovering their money fast, comes to about 83 in FY21. Interest coverage ratio is rising due to the increase in the profitability, which is again positive for the company. The inventory turnover ratio is improving, that means the stock is moving faster, which is again a good sign. Now let's talk about the shareholding pattern. The promoters hold about 22%. So normally we expect the promoters to have at least about 40 to 50% holding in the company, which is on the lower side in this company, which could be a negative point if you consider. The FIIs hold about 5%, DI about 22%. So institutional holding is good, around 25%, and public about 53%. The promoters holding has further gone down in the recent quarters from 22.73 to 21.61. And the FII holdings on the other side have increased from about 1.71% to 5.28%. Remuneration to executive directors is about 2.65 crores, which is within the limits as per the Companies Act. Dividend yield is 0 as the company has not declared any dividends recently. ROE is about 10.2, which is not that impressive. Net profit margin is about 5%, which is expected to go up, and this is one thing which you should keep in mind. The stat auditors of this company are Messrs. Kalyaniwala Mistry LLP, which is a firm based in Mumbai. There are related party transactions in this company which are related to consultancy charges, lease rent, etc. So you should keep a close watch on the related party transactions, and there should not be any abnormally high payments which we have to monitor. Now coming to the valuation part, the last traded price is about 188. The 52-week high and low is about 70 to 231. The last 5 years, the stock has given a return average CAGR of about 15%, 3 years 29%, and last 1 year 154%. So in terms of returns, the stock has been performing well. The market cap is just about 2,400 crores, so it's still a small company. P ratio is about 47, median P is about 35. So you can see that in terms of P ratio, the industry P is about 29. So in terms of P ratio, the stock is overvalued. EPS is about 4 rupees, face value is 1. It's not a 10 face value share. Book value is about 46 and price to book ratio is 4. So in terms of book ratio, it looks slightly expensive. The market cap to sales, if you see, it's about 2. So in terms of market cap to sales, it is fairly valued. But on the profitability part, if the company does improve a lot, the valuation will become reasonable. Now if you see the chart, the stock has support around 160 levels. So if someone wants to enter this, they can consider these levels to make an entry. Coming to the recent news and announcements, they recently acquired 80% stake in a company called Algar R Nutrafarms Private Limited for their expansion into their health and wellness category. So this is about Camlin Fine Sciences. To summarize, the management is quite well experienced in the business which they are doing, and they are expected to turn around the company and do better in terms of profitability and margins. The industry will support the company as the industry itself is expected to grow in a double-digit number. The company has global operations, so their market size is huge. They have a wide, diversified portfolio of products, so they are in fact adding more and more business segments and acquiring companies in the other new segments. The fundamentals we wouldn't say they are bad, but they are average. But that company needs to surely focus on improving their financials. There has been inconsistency in the performance, as earlier the company was profitable, and the last few years it became a loss-making company, and now it has again started making profits. So we have to keep a keen watch, as the company should remain profitable and should improve their profit of margins. One thing to remember is their promoter holding is low, so the promoter holding should not further go down. In fact, it should improve if at all the management chooses to do so. Margins of the business as of now are not that attractive. The company would face competition globally, as this is a very competitive field across the globe. And in terms of valuation, given the present numbers of the company, the valuation seem to be quite expensive. So even if you have to invest in the stock, you have to enter at the right valuations. So this is about Camlin Fine Science. I hope you like the unbiased review which I have done. And if you're new to the channel, you can just subscribe. If you like the video, hit the like button. And we have a free Telegram channel where I keep posting a lot of updates. If you wish to join, the link is on the screen. So thank you for watching this video. I hope you like it. And if you want me to make more videos on your favorite stocks, you can comment the name of that stock in the comments below. I will surely consider that stock for my upcoming analysis videos. So thank you for watching and have a wonderful day.